Hello everyone, welcome to Redmen Radio, the Liverpool podcast. From me, Paul Machin, and that man right there, Mr. Chris Pajak.
Struggling to hold a burp down. Hello.
I got away with it too if I hadn't said it out loud. Kick-off question, Chris, this week comes from John Bright, who's John Deggs on Twitter. Would you rather have Moreno play left-back every game for the rest of the season or listen to Jermaine Genius commentate on every game for the rest of your life? Now, I don't know who got the shortest end of the straw here, or the shortest straw, or the shitty end of the stick.
I got to see both.
You had to,
yeah. I got to go to the game and watch Moreno play in the bottom corner, right where we were. So nice and close up, we were 10 rows back, in the corner of the stadium where he was playing left back. And then I watched the full 90 minutes back this morning with Jermaine Genius commentating.
That whole... we've got a question. It's on the Q&A for later, like in terms of the commentary. I don't think I guess you wouldn't have seen like the halftime analysis as part of that.
No, I didn't.
It's like they hadn't got the memo, or they've been told it's the FA Cup on the BBC. It's like, when ITV have got England friendlies,
yeah,
and it's their only footy, so they make it out like it's the biggest thing that's ever. And it's like, we've watched people analyse Liverpool games all season, so we're going to analyse it the way we would analyse the Liverpool game, and it's like, yeah, it's not.
Is it poor?
It's like the players, they're not happy with Klopp. They're not playing for the team, and they're unhappy. They're unhappy with Klopp. That's why they're not playing, and blah 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 blah. And it's like, lads, we've literally just thrown 11 players at a pitch, and it was just Alan Shearer was a massive fucking bellend, and Jermaine Genius was doing this all game long. It's like, I don't understand why Liverpool. Why are the fullbacks? Why are the defence playing like that? Why are the fullbacks playing so far up the pitch? If I was Fabinho, I'd be saying, come and sit in here with me. And it's like, that's how we play. So Jermaine Genius was a bag of balls. You can mute Jermaine Genius ultimately. I wouldn't like Moreno for the rest of the season.
I'll tell you what, I wouldn't want Moreno to play left back for the rest of the season, and I'll tell you why. Of all the players who, and this is no slight on Alberto Moreno, by the way, of all the players who were missing yesterday, I thought Robertson was the biggest miss.
Okay.
I genuinely thought he is the guy who changed how we move the ball forwards more than any other player. Because, yeah, I understand that Salah and Firmino changed the game when they came on, and they absolutely did. But we never had that outlet down the left-hand side. And Moreno's supposed to be an attacking fullback. Now, maybe he was told, listen, you're playing with a DM centre-back, and you're playing with Hoover after 4 minutes, and you're playing with Camacho, so you need to just curtail it a little bit and play a little bit more defensive. But what Robertson gives us, and I mentioned this on the final word, Paul, is a world-class fullback.
Yeah.
And Alberto Moreno, I would argue, wasn't quite good enough for this side in 15-16 when we were conceding between 50 and 60 goals a season. He's certainly not good enough for a side with the best defensive record in the country. He's gone from not being good enough for a side that were conceding 50, 60 goals a season to not being good enough for a side that conceded 10 in 22 games. That's the gulf. That's the difference for me. It's no slight on him. He's just not good enough.
We've said this about all these lads. We'll come on to. We're going to talk more about the cup stuff in a minute. Just lastly on this, there's nothing wrong with any of the individual players that Liverpool put out there, but you can't make magic. Those players are not good enough to form a team for isolated games and expected to perform at the highest level. We've said that. We know that. It was like when we looked at the Chelsea League Cup game. That back five was absolutely fine. It's Premier League quality. It was Premier League quality back five we put out, but we're miles better than that. It's
exactly.
And so you can. There's nothing wrong with Moreno's an absolutely fine left back, and okay, yeah, that was radically makeshift we saw against Wolves, but yeah, these players are all fine, but you can't put Divock. I was saying yesterday, if I wasn't even asked about the Robertson thing. If you just were capable of putting Fabinho in midfield and putting Mo Salah in instead of Origi, then that team probably would have won that game, because we had no control over midfield, and we had no one capable of holding the ball up and being any threat at the other end of the pitch. But yeah, you put them all together and they're all just a kind of...
That's it. Listen, the back five that played against Chelsea were good enough to get us top four. Right?
2 seasons ago.
Yeah, 2 seasons ago. The back five that we've got now are good enough to challenge for the title. The back five that we put out last night, I don't know where they finish in the Prem.
Oh God,
it's not high up. No, you know what I mean? But individually, you could drop Moreno into our normal back five and he'd be alright for a couple of games.
Yeah.
And individually, you might throw Fabinho in for one game and he'd be alright for a game.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But you can't, as you say, you can't put all five of them together.
No. Absolutely not. So news in brief, we'll talk more about the game in a minute. Nathaniel Klein joined Bournemouth on loan. Sound. Did you see all the Neil Warnock fallout from this?
Yeah.
It's just glorious.
Love it.
Love it, love it, love it. And it'd part of me, if I didn't have a strong opinion about Neil Warnock, I'd feel a little bit for him.
But you do, so you don't.
But I do, so I don't. Yeah, absolutely. And then within the space of mere hours, we'd sold Dom Solanke to them for 19 million. We've gotten so good at selling players. Yeah. So very good at selling
Bournemouth
players.
as well, to be fair. Listen, I think, last night could have been a game where Nathaniel Klein would have got minutes. And he'd have been a good player for us. I kind of think about the type of manager that Jurgen Klopp is here. And for me, there is a little devil that sits on my shoulder sometimes and whispers to me, I want Klopp to be more ruthless, and I want him to keep that player until the end of the season, until we're completely done, and wring him out and then spit him to one side. And then the other side is going, no, because Jurgen Klopp is the manager that he is because of his entire makeup, and that includes that being a humanist and caring about his football players. And every single player in our squad, you could argue, wants to play for Liverpool Football Club, wants to fight for that shirt, wants to be in Jurgen Klopp's side. And that's because of the person that he is. Yeah. And the person that he is lets players who are unhappy go. Mm-hmm. And we just have to deal with that because it's a little bit of rough. Yeah. We've lost our third choice right back. Yeah. We're getting a lot of smooth this season.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you just, like Klein's comments about it told me everything I need to know about that. He just said, I'm at that age, I wanted to play football. Look, he has actively chosen to leave the champions-elect of the Premier League, a side that is at the minute is the favourite to win the Premier League, to go and play mid-table Premier League football.
I wish more footballers would do that,
Well, yes and no. Fair play to him. Look,
we've had too many who'll happily sit on the bench and run the contract down. Where's Lazar?
Yeah.
Where's Lazar?
But true. But the thing is, you can go look at it from both ways because he's clearly good enough to play for Liverpool.
Of course he is.
And it's the Danny Ings thing as well. Danny Ings would have been on the fringes of Liverpool's team this season if he wanted to stay, and he's not. And he's doing fine. But he's your neighbours. But he's. I'm annoyed because there's part of me that thinks, oh God, just take your 5 appearances and collect your Premier League winners medal and all that kind of thing. Like, I think even in a world where Daniel Sturridge is probably going to him, mate, it's not the best idea to go and play for someone else. He's thought, no. He knows he's going to be moving from Liverpool, and he must be thinking, why wait? Yes, I'll have a Premier League winners medal, but my talent might have gone, my stock might have fallen, and Bournemouth, he must be looking at it now at 27, he's 28 this season. He'll be thinking, I put a good year in at Bournemouth, and I might have one more shot at an Arsenal or something like that further down the line. So
listen, I think we've all been part of teams. Some of us have been part of teams that have won stuff. And I tell you what, if you're a substitute and you make a couple of appearances here, there, and everywhere, you're not showing the grandkids it. You know what I mean? You might show them it to show them it, but you know in your heart of hearts that you didn't help as much as you wanted to help with that. So go and do something that means something to you and will mean something to you. Fair play to him. I don't mind it. I've made peace with that move, it sounds.
Unless Klopp's gone, you will fall one game short of being able to collect the winner's medal, and he's gone, oh, fuck you then, mate, I'm off. Kamil Grabara's gone to the Danish Super League on loan.
All of them? They're all just sharing him?
Yeah, absolutely.
What team did he go to?
As long as he gets games, Chris. That's
Where did he go?
AGF, I think it's AGF Aarhus.
I read this on, I think it was News Now. Was it yesterday this one broke? And it was like 6'5" Liverpool star moves. I was like, okay. Who is it?
They did that for the next thing as well for the Ajaria. 6'4" Liverpool midfielder on the move. Yeah, Ajaria's gone to Reading.
Not Fabinho.
No. So Grabara's gone to the Danish Super League. Fine.
Is he 6'4"? Ajaria.
He's a big lad, like.
Is he? Yeah.
The Grabara thing. I looked at it and I was uneasy to go. I was like, how many clubs need a goalkeeper in January? And if he's going, you'd imagine he's going to play, because otherwise, what's the point? And at the minute, he's in rotation in the under 23s with Kelleher, and that's not sustainable because you don't get enough games at that level anyway. So yeah, fair play. Well, I don't think that's necessarily an indictment of his quality. More, he's probably
Well, you're almost developing senior. Both of them that way. You're hoping, aren't you?
Exactly. And yeah, Ajaria to Redden, fine. I think we all expected him to go. Out on loan again after coming back from Rangers, so fair play.
Question for you on Ajaria. Do you think he'll make it at Liverpool?
No, I don't. He's fallen foul once again of, I don't know what position he plays in. He's another one of those lads, and the footy's littered with them, and you seem to get these in spells of his best position's probably in the 10. But if you want to play
a world-class 10, you have to be world-class.
You've got to score 15 goals a season and get 15 assists a season if you want to play 10 for Liverpool, and he's never ever going to be at that level. And we don't know. Maybe something will happen. He's still young enough that it does happen. But and I'd be made up if he does, but wouldn't be putting any money on it nor losing any.
No, I can't see him making it at Liverpool, and I'm gutted for him.
Yeah, it's funny, innit? Because he came out of nowhere. He wasn't ranked. He wasn't rated at all by the academy. Klopp saw something. I think he saw that he was big. He's got good feet. He's a talented lad, but who knows? We'll see. Red's transfer roundup show. Go check it out on the redmentv.com this week. Looking at all of these things and a whole lot more. Really assessing the rumours in and out. We've seen Eder Militao linked this week. We've seen
Bruno Fernandes as well.
Omar being very, very strongly linked to what was that one?
Fernandes from Sporting Lisbon.
Sure, why not? Yeah, all that bollocks, all that complete and utter horseshit, and more discussed in depth and detail. So get over to redmentv.com, sign up, start your 3-month trial, and get your hour-long fix of Liverpool transfer news.
It's good. It's good.
It is very, very good. Chris, out of the cup. This for me felt like a bit like I felt similar at the end of this game than I did at the City game. At the end of the City game, in so much as, but came at completely different angles. I was disappointed because I don't like seeing Liverpool lose games of football, but when I looked at the City game and saw us go toe-to-toe with a really good side and lose on very fine margins, I've seen this happen time and time again. For me, the second we decided not to start Virgil van Dijk or Alisson in this game, I'm not even asked about Salah and whatever, because we've seen us rotate. It told me everything. It told me Klopp's standpoint on the FA Cup. So
what do you think that was?
That he didn't prioritise this competition at all.
I disagree with that. I think he did, and I think the fact that he brings both Firmino and Salah on proves that he wanted to go through in the competition.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, I think that's right. You know what I mean? I think he doesn't do that otherwise. Because why bother?
To be fair, he references this post-match, doesn't he? And it's the question is that if that's Wolves in the Premier League, because his big thing, his big talking point was, it's been a very intense period, so I had to rest players. Would he have gone? I think he'd have rested one, or he might have rested one or two. Like you might see Origi, Sturridge start that game, fine, because we've seen both of them get game time. But I don't think he goes that. Of course
radical. He doesn't. But that's because his list of priorities run Premier League, Champions League, FA Cup. It's not to say that he doesn't want to go through in the FA Cup. It's to say that his priority, it's further down that list.
But that's my point.
Your point wasn't it? You literally just said that he didn't prioritise this in any way, shape or form, but he wanted to go through the competition.
But what I'm saying is the level of priority that he's placed upon it informed my feelings on it, because if I would be, so therefore if he'd gone for it, fully gone for it, the way that I expect us to go for it at Brighton at the weekend, then I would be more upset with the performance, I'd be more downbeat, etc, etc. Whereas I can look at that, I've seen that Liverpool performance more times than I care to remember. It used to bother me when we were a cup side, because the cups were always our best chance of winning.
This is our best chance to get a huge priority this season in the Premier League. This is what this season is boiling down to. And the Champions League doesn't run it close either, because we've never been in this position before. We've never been 4 points clear. And it's literally, it's just in our hands. And Jurgen Klopp knows that, and he has to get the rest in for the players where he can. And unfortunately, we came up against a side who are very good in the third round of the Cup.
Yeah.
Now, I imagine he'd have played a very similar side if we'd have played against a Reading, a Newport, name your team.
Yeah,
just like Pep Guardiola and Spurs did, played some fringe players, but played some strong players as well. You know what I mean? And we're just unfortunate that the draw's not done us kindly there.
We have put our foot to the floor for December to get to where we are, and that was the gamble. That was the gamble we took. We refused to blink first. It's kind of, this is obviously dampened, and the mood's dampened, I think, because of the City result to some extent. But we played ourselves into that position to take. We capitalised on things by going very, very strong for that period, and that's what I mean. I'm disappointed.
I've seen it all over Twitter, Paul. He's damned if he does, and he's damned if he doesn't, because you don't respect the competition if you field any youngsters, but you don't blood youth if you don't. I mean, when do you blood youth? Is he supposed to blood youth in the game against Manchester City?
Exactly.
I mean, he's not. No. Let's be honest. No. So, as the media, you can't have it both ways.
The fascinating thing about this, and why it's all borne out, and why, again, any arguments about us going stronger and doing whatever are totally thrown out the window 4 minutes into the game when Dejan Lovren gets injured. Because,
even before?
Well, yeah, but the second he gets injured, that's a third round game. You've got no choice but to play a third round game. You're in it. You're in the competition, unless it's Man United and you decide to go to the World Club and you can bow out, which will never happen again. You've got no choice. So I can accept Dejan Lovren getting injured, because you had to put with so bare bones. He ended up having to play. There was no choice in him playing. But Henderson was playing instead of him, apparently.
Yeah.
Mad, absolutely
mad.
Mad.
Well, listen, Van Dijk was injured.
Yeah, he
missed the game because of a knock. You know what I mean? And is he supposed to put Van Dijk in the squad and put him in with a knock? No, he's not. He's going to put Dejan Lovren in. Injuries happen in football.
He's put Lovren in for Henderson, hasn't he?
It's crazy. It's just unfortunate. I don't know what the problem is with Dejan Lovren. It didn't look on the telly coverage like Klopp was particularly happy with him, because it didn't look to me, and I watched it back a couple of times, I couldn't see Lovren sprint in the first 2 minutes, but I do see him waving his hand over. I wonder, and I am just hypothesising, that he just didn't warm up right. And I think that's why Klopp might have been getting really angry about it and stuff, because he was just shouting at him. Yeah. You're 2 minutes into a game, you've not sprinted, and you've pulled something. But then equally, he's going in there going, I'm the only centre-back. And the last word that the fitness coach might have said, you feel fucking anything, lad. You get yourself off the pitch.
Yeah, maybe. It could be
anything. It could be anything, couldn't it?
Yeah, it could be. Like, I mean, I can't imagine he's not, because you don't, it's so, everything's so regimented, isn't it? Like, you mean, they literally go through the process.
You just don't see injuries in the first 2 minutes like that, do you?
No, but and
because it's so regimented and stuff.
The wider point, though, is that, so what we, and that's why when we brought Salah and Firmino on, fine, with 20 minutes to go, because I think Klopp, and Klopp said it as much, I'm not saying he didn't want to go through, I'm not saying he threw the FA Cup by any means, I'm not saying that in the slightest, because if he goes through, our injury problems at centre-half will hopefully only be short term. A few more games to play Camacho in and Jones in, and Lallana needs game time if we want them to be sharp. Origi, Sturridge, the senior lads who started and a couple others who just missed out probably could have benefited from having the FA Cup.
Okay, right, they could have. They were all shite. So they let us down more than the youngsters, by the way.
So like I said, I think we were happy. They were happy to go through, but what you get into the fourth round. And let's say, like, Lovren's now injured, so let's say Lovren misses 2 weeks, so therefore he misses the next round of the FA Cup, and Van Dijk has to start. Well, what's to say Van Dijk doesn't pick up a daft injury in that competition? Because, and that's And because of where we're at right now, if we were 100% fully fit, if we had Gomez fit and Matip fit, I'd be far less arsed, because you'd be able to put a much better side out than we put out there, and you'd be able to see the real strength in depth. But Paul, we are so threadbare.
But Paul, the media doesn't see it like that.
No, it's not the media's prerogative to see this. But the thing that annoyed me, and I tweeted this at half time, can't wait for Twitter to regurgitate all the bullshit analysis being given by the BBC, who are going on like Liverpool have gone full strength and are getting the pants pulled down here when they're not. And and again, this is why we're here. We're not here to sugarcoat it, but we're here to look at it from the fucking perspective of people who watch it fucking week in, week out, and are not fucking thick and can look at that side and go, that Liverpool side got beaten by Wolves. Well, no shit. We had a fucking child playing centre half alongside our DM, and a fucking grown man child at left back who's nowhere near good enough, and a fucking another child playing at right back, and fucking Simon Mignolet in goal, and James Milner playing the DM. Like, again, individually, fine. They've all had good careers. Some of them will have good careers. Some will have better careers than others when they hang up the boots at the end of the day. But that Wolves side was basically Wolves' first team. A handful, a smattering of changes there in playing at home in a game which was a massive thing for them, particularly given the result that was beating them a few weeks ago.
It has to have been. Listen, the best thing that Wolves had, and they did make a couple of changes, of course, but they had the spine, and that was the thing that got them through that game. You know what I mean? Having Cody, having Neves, having Coutinho, and having Raul Jimenez, that is something that maybe Klopp looks at and learns from. But equally, we have found something that's working in the Premier League, and it's come over the last 3 seasons, and he now has a settled back 5 and he has his settled front 3, and the rotation comes in the middle of the park, that you have to still rest those players at some point. This was the game to rest them.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've seen it, like, there's a chance, because as mentioned, we rested in rotation against Burnley. And we then needed to go up a gear to stretch that and to get that game put to bed, of course. But so we might well have done something similar. But like I say, it was for Klopp, and he references it. He's saying, like, I couldn't start the kid. Basically, he felt like he couldn't start Hoover because he'd get accused of devaluing the competition. Like, and that's the devil in the deep blue sea, because quite clearly the Premier League has to be the priority. And I said at the time, I don't mind it. I like the FA Cup. I've had some great times in the FA Cup. Some great memories as a kid and as a young adult and growing up. It's the trophy I've seen with my own eyes has lift the most. Been to 3 FA Cup finals, won 2, lost 1, and the loss hurt as much as it was an absolute, incredible experience to see us win it. We've been too long without a title. And if this, I can only see this.
Hang on, the FA Cup, did it save Arsene Wenger? No, so stop pretending like it's going to fucking do anything, please, because it does absolutely nothing. How many did they win on the bounce?
It was
2 or 3 or something like that.
3 in a small clutch if they won them all.
You know what I mean? It didn't do fuck all for him, because the Premier League's too important compared to the FA Cup now. Do you ever see a manager go, we're not going to try in the league this season, I really want to pin my hopes on that FA Cup? No, do you bollocks? No. Tell you why, because Premier League's more important than a trophy to go for.
Actually, you do. It's Roberto Martinez.
And what happened to them? Have they been back up?
Ask the people at Wigan what it's like to be in the lower leagues with their FA Cup and see if it sustains them. Great day out. It's a great day out. But no, you're dead right. I just, if Liverpool were to fall short, if Liverpool got into multiple rounds of the FA Cup and then fell short, I personally would look back on recrimination with that, and I would be looking going, would we have been stronger for having had another game, another weekend's rest?
I said that on my match reaction. I'm sure you probably said that on yours, Paul. Come the end of the season, we might be looking back at this Wolves game and going, blessing in disguise. Thank you very much. I'm glad that happened. Yeah. Things do happen for a reason, do you know what I mean? And us getting knocked out of the cup, it hurts now, because I hate seeing Liverpool lose. I hate seeing Liverpool lose in the manner in which I thought that we lost. And I didn't think the effort was good enough. I didn't think that we played well enough, because I know it's difficult for those players. But I'm talking about your James Milners, your Naby Keita, your Daniel Sturridge, your Divock Origi, your Xherdan Shaqiri's. They weren't good enough, and they should be good enough. Yeah. They should be able to put their foot on the ball, whether they've got a few issues behind them or not. For me, what annoyed me about Shaqiri was that he took it up a notch when the other lads came on. That pissed me off. I was happy to see him start playing. Lads, you want their place in the first team. You should be playing when they're not. Yeah. This is your big opportunity to shine, and not wait for your mates to come on and then start playing it round and knocking it round like it's all fun and games.
He was fucked by
the midfield, and the midfield was fucked by the Lovren thing.
Yeah,
and I understand how it all works
not
out.
Even that, like the Origi and Sturridge.
I can't do this. I can't do this dance again. I've done it for an hour and a half this morning, mate.
Yeah, if only. But that's the thing, is that Salah and Firmino make everything easier because you've got good players who are better at holding the ball up, make better runs, make more intelligent runs,
move,
just better at football.
Try and head the ball.
Ultimately, exactly. So but yeah, the thing I walked away from it because I'd set my mindset pretty much. I'm amazed it was as close as it was. I thought this had 2-0 Wolves written all over it. We crash out and everyone we shrug our shoulders and go out with this. So I went into it. All I watched for that game was Camacho. Ultimately, when he comes on, Hoover, Curtis Jones, and in all of them, I saw things that made me think, great, cool. I think we've got another talented crop of young lads coming up. It was like a. I'm sure there's not other people, but I don't care. When you watch pre-season games and you don't look at them for the complete performance because you're not going to get a complete performance
and moves and stuff that you might see more of in the future.
You're not going to get a complete performance in that regard. And people can talk about like Man City rotated and Spurs rotated. They were able to stick. They were able to rotate within the formula that they already use by and large. And in City's rotation, we talk about rotation like.
Just bringing this £50 million player, just bringing this one. To be fair, we had one as well that we brought.
True enough, but it's like they bring in a couple of lads who they've been rotating in all season long, in like Zinchenko and stuff. He's the next one, isn't he? He comes in for all of these games, and he comes into a back four that's got 3 of their main guys in whenever he does it, etc., etc. That defence was a fucking joke for us last night, and I choose not to get annoyed by it because there's just. It's like fuming at the fucking wall.
In such simple terms, you've got Dejan Lovren, who's the leader of that back line, because it ain't Moreno, it can't be Fabinho, and it certainly wasn't Rafa Camacho, because he wasn't part of it, to be perfectly frank. He was 30 yards up the pitch most of the game. And then Dejan Lovren goes off. Well, now it's the blind leading the fucking blind, because you're trusting Simon Mignolet to tell you what's going on, and he doesn't open his mouth.
Yeah.
So what are you supposed to do there? And then you've got a DM, who's essentially now the guy who's got to lead your defence. It is one of those things. You had the 16-year-olds, you had Fabinho, and you had 2 attacking fullbacks.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Against the side that's 7th best in the league this season or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, we've done loads more chat on this. Chris, as mentioned, has done the Final Word show.
It was a belter of a show, though. It was really good, actually.
Yeah, if you want to check out the Final Word show, if you're not done with this, if you want to get a bit more chat on the young players and what have you, and some of the things that went right and some of the things that went wrong, and then get over to the redmentv.com. Here's a little bit from that show.
There was nothing going on ahead of them for the first half, at least. When, like I said, when those two came on, Salah and Firmino, there was a little bit more. But the first half overall was so poor as a game of football because, from our perspective, there was nothing going on ahead of the midfield to make anything happen.
Yeah, is that something that you agree with?
Yeah, do you know what I think with Sturridge? He reminds me a little bit of. You're going to laugh at this now. He's got a bit of Messi about him and a bit of Charlie Austin. They both walk around the pitch. What Messi does, Messi walks around the pitch into pockets of space and causes absolute chaos. Very intelligent. Charlie Austin walks amongst the back four, and that's what Sturridge is starting to do. I thought pre-season he was going to be dropping into pockets and causing trouble because he hasn't got the pace no more, but he's not even doing that. He's not doing that pocket, that kind of thing, like the Messi thing where he just walks into space, causes madness. He's doing what Charlie Austin does and walks amongst the back four, hoping for a scrap in front of goal. It's so frustrating.
Cool. Yes, redmentv.com. It's free for the first month, so go over there. Have a little look around, try out all the content. You can get it in video form if you're into that kind of thing, and you can get it in audio form as well. So if you love a podcast and you like to get love a podcast, if you want it on your commute to work or whatever, however you commute or whyever you commute, then you can do it.
Or if you're just having a little run around the park.
Well, just having
because no one runs through the park anymore, Paul. People just run round parks.
Yeah. Yeah, they do, don't they? Fine. Yeah. It's more solid footing, I guess, falling over too many times. More cars.
Too dangerous for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, get on there. It's fantastic. Brighton then, Chris.
Brighton.
Yeah, we've got a clutch of fixtures coming up now, which are on. This run of games reminds me very much of that spell at the start of December when, on paper, you go, yeah, absolutely fine. I don't think any of these should be underestimated. I don't think Liverpool will underestimate them. Brighton are actually a really decent side this year. They're not going down. They're going to be in that. They're in that clutch of mid-table sides who are okay. They've got a better defensive record than a lot of the teams actually in the top half of the team. Better defensive record than like United and Arsenal and what have you. Got a good manager. Got a couple of good players. Glenn Murray's having a great season. They shouldn't be underestimated. So I don't. What type of Liverpool performance are you expecting in this game?
That's what I need to see at this point. You know, we've had 2 defeats. You can rationalise both of them, and I have rationalised both of them. I think most Liverpool fans have as well. But you need to get back on the horse now. You need to go for it. You need to prove that that's a blip. And that's all it is. You need to prove that, actually, I say a blip, we've had 1 poor performance, we've lost 2 games, you know what I mean? And you've got to go out there and you've got to dominate them, you've got to get back to that possession football, but possession football where you can hurt a team. You know, we had loads of possession yesterday, but we weren't able to get the ball forwards. And I think, you know, seeing how the team reacted with 20 minutes to go when Firmino and Salah did come on, there's no confidence lost there. We got to get in there, we should be well rested, and we just got to go and just grab them by the throat as early as possible and make them think that they don't have a chance in this game, like we have done prior to Man City every Premier League game this season. And that's what we've got to do, just kill their hope as soon as the game starts.
I totally agree on that. This is just getting back to what we do. And look, This is one of those moments in the season where I think the Liverpool side of the last 25 years conspires to make this really hard work, or conspires to do something to make, you know what I mean, to maybe flaps a little bit under the pressure here. What this Liverpool side needs to do, and that's why I'm not what I'm looking for. A big statement win would be lovely. But I just want us to, I'm just fine for us getting back
2-0.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, a little 2-0.
Exactly
Love that. Clean sheet, thank you.
Just get in. Get the ball. I don't think they're going to have any major designs on, you know, coming flying out at us or whatever. Do what we've done all season long. Get in the game. Keep possession of the football. Knock it round. Craft opportunities. Take opportunities. Take 3 points. Go home and obviously again the way the fixtures falls very very favourably for us. A game with Man City playing later in the weekend. So yeah, that you're dead right. I think there'll be a few people. It's not. I don't want to speak for everyone, because there's always people who think, even in a minority, think in completely different ways, and you know, whatever. You're hearing fans of other clubs and you're hearing pundits, and they're the people who don't pay attention to Liverpool enough, but they see
loss.
And they go, look at Liverpool's form. The way, you know, you cast a cursory glance and you'd look at Brighton's form and you'd be like, oh, look, it's been a bit up and down here. Oh, look who they lost against. Well, that must mean they're shit. We know it. We know it. We see it. I just want us to insulate against that more than anything else, because I just think it's boring and it's lazy, and I would like someone else to go back to being the topic of conversation, because we haven't really been it in a negative sense, because we haven't lost enough games for it to be us. But there's always one of the top 6 or 7 clubs as a little dip of form at any given time, and they become the talk of conversation. Oh, such and such is a bottler, such and such is this. Let it be someone else this weekend. Let it go back to being Solskjaer.
And I think that it will do. I think that it will do. I have confidence that this side will just bounce back, because I don't see that the confidence should be dented in any way, shape or form. As I say, the performance against City was brilliant. We were good. We were just beaten by a better side on the day. And you could even argue, some people have argued that we were the better side. I personally didn't think so. I think they just about shaded it. That happens at those types of grounds, you know what I mean? They're a quality side. They were playing at home, and they had to win. Their backs were to the wall. Now Liverpool have to win, I think. I think now it's our turn to play with our backs to the wall, and we know in those situations under Jurgen Klopp we can do that. Yeah, absolutely. And you know, the good thing about it is now is that, and this is where the decisions made in this week around the FA Cup game, we won't know whether they pay dividends until you see how we perform and how much is in the tank come the closing minutes of this Brighton game, because
if we can get those 3 points, we go open that 7-point gap up against City again, and then you're starting to look down that just the fixtures just start to ease off.
Yeah.
You know you've got a break weekend coming up. I think it's around the 27th because there's now no FA Cup. So you've only got a handful of games left of this month. After that, you're going to be in a very strong position. You've got a bit of warm weather training looming, and it means that we've got proper preparation time that we haven't had. We were able to engineer 8 wins in December without having proper tactical training. No, that's the same for the vast majority of clubs, by the way, but none of them would be in.
Exactly, and that's the thing. And just as important as that preparation time is your recovery time.
Yeah.
We're going to have so many more recovery days than the likes of Manchester City and Tottenham, and people can balk at that all you want. It's a part of football now, whether we like it or not, and it's a huge part of football.
It's one of the worst shouts in football is, well, they get paid all this money. Great. It's like, and it's only ever used to justify opinion. It's never used to justify fact. It's just, and it's normally something antiquated or toxically masculine. I've said all that really well.
Good words, terribly spoken.
Terribly spoken. I should have just stayed. I kept it simple. Fuck. It's normally things like that, like your money is supposed to buy you perfect supreme fitness and happiness. And it doesn't buy you either. It just alleviates a lot of the common problems that us normal people have to face. So yeah, Liverpool have got this now where a lot of that team, there's Alisson, Van Dijk,
we're spoiled with Alisson. I know we've finished the Wolves stuff, but my word, have we been spoiled with Alisson?
Of course we have, absolutely. So spoiled with Van Dijk. We've got spoiled with Salah.
I heard an interesting thing. I think I was reading it on Twitter. It was about like the second keeper and all that type of stuff. Like, we need a better second keeper, and I agree with that. But it's taken us like 30 years to get a really good one keeper. Like, I'm not being greedy on this. I'm totally fine with just having Alisson for the time being. Like,
Sam Mignolet's absolutely fine, isn't he? He's absolutely fine
for a team challenging for fourth. He's fine.
He's only going to go to.
He also got better in my head for not playing.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to. Not in that. Look at what happens to Liverpool goalkeepers who move on. You either end up at a piss poor level at the lower end of the Premier League. That was a bit offensive to say piss poor. Your career fizzles out to nothing, or you go and sit on the bench for the top Champions League side. We've seen a couple of them happen. Pepe and Jersey being the perfect examples of that. You can't buy a second. It's very difficult to buy a second choice goalkeeper, and Mignolet's just fine, isn't he? Absolutely fine. I'd still rather have Karius on the bench. Only messing. Interesting one. We'll do more on the build-up show for this, so that don't tune in for that, for the video and the podcast versions of that as well. But yeah, it's funny that this was the game last season where we played the most makeshift backline I'd ever seen in the history of Liverpool until Wolves, and then we absolutely walloped Brighton everywhere. So don't be shocked. This is exactly the same this time around. Questions. We're going to be doing an extended version of this podcast, or an extended 15 to 20 minutes at the end of it. It's its own show. It's called the Q&A. That's on the website where we answer more of your mad as bollocks questions. But anyway, RDO Riordan, would you take Coutinho back if possible? I have been asked this so many times. There was about 10 people asked it in various forms and different structures of sentences. Not for me.
I would. If he wants to come back, and if you pay about £5 million.
Okay.
Think I'm joking?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. 15.
What?
He's better as an attacking midfielder than what we've got right now.
Yeah.
And we're pushing for a Premier League, and he knows the system. And he knows how to be a part of the system.
Does he know the system, though?
I think he does. I think he knows how to play a left winger. I think he gives us some cover for Mane, or he might even take Mane's position. They were sharing that workload as well as him playing in the 3 last season, weren't they? If you wanted to switch it back to a 3 for some games, we've seen him do that. He could certainly play the 10. That might free Firmino up to go into the 9. I think he'd give us a lot of options in the running, and I don't think, it's all well and good saying, let's go and sign an attacking midfielder, but we know that Klopp needs to work with them for however long.
Yeah.
I think you can just expedite that process with Coutinho, and if you can reintegrate him into the side, and it's a big if because of the shit that he caused us. Ultimately, if he comes in and starts playing for the bird on the front of the chest, on the front of the shirt, sorry, then yeah, absolutely. Like, you know, I'll never be as big a supporter ever again. But if he helps us to a title challenge or he helps us win a trophy, I'd soon forget about the loan deal for Barca.
It's an interesting point about the integration thing, like which is not something I consider. But I think the flip side to that is my chief concern with it is the back end of last season was built on galvanising everyone around him, and it depends what's been said. You know what I mean? Like if it's like, fuck him, we don't need him. Get him in the bin because we're stronger and better without him, and then you're like, we really need this lad for a title run in. That's one of those things where managers where.
Thankfully, like a lot of football players and a lot of sports players at that high level, like I watch a lot of the NFL stuff tonight, and they just seem to be really thick.
Yeah.
Like the message that, you know, you watch those NFL behind the scenes, all or nothings and all that type of stuff, and all that, and it's just the managers literally give the same message every season. Everybody doubts you. You need to go and prove people wrong, and it seems to work all the time.
Yeah.
And so I do feel like you can get a group mentality is much easier to change than 32 individuals.
Just don't
you know
do it
what
in
I
the
mean?
same hotel in Spain that you did it last year. And you said everyone was shit, and I was like, this feels really familiar. Oh, hey Phil, what are you doing here? Here's
the difficulty, and here's why there's no right answer for this question. Is because we don't know the inner workings of it. We don't know the inner workings of the squad. We don't know the inner workings of the coaching staff, and we don't know the inner workings of the management of the football club in any way, shape, or form.
If you were getting back Phil Coutinho as if you'd never left,
of course you would.
Then all day long,
exactly.
Because he was a world-class footballer in our side.
Exactly.
It's that thing. For me, it's that every manager's messages eventually fall on deaf ears, and there's a fear that you expedite the process by if you've gone, this guy's a dickhead. Oh, by the way, this guy's lovely.
You're hypothesising, and I'm hypothesising, and that's why there's no right answers to the question.
Yeah, definitely. What?
Just a secondary question. If rumours were true, would you be asked if you went to United?
If the rumours are true, would be asked.
Oh yeah, they'd be asked if you went to United. That's like stabbing me, walking away for 6 months, me just starting to recover and coming back and stabbing me again.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's an interesting poser, because it depends on what if they're looking at like loan, or they're looking at. I would never go anywhere near the fee that they gave.
Yeah.
Now, if you told me for £70 million you could have Phil Coutinho back, probably yeah. But then when you start to get above and beyond that, that's when I start to blink.
Yeah, I think so. But like, listen, Klopp knows the player, doesn't he? And that's what it will come down to, won't it? You know, I think we're quick to forget sometimes that although he treated us poorly, you know, he had that thing at the start of the season with the back pain and all that, and then obviously the January. Those few months between the start of the season and January, he was top draw for us. Absolutely brilliant. He didn't want to be there, and he still was able to perform at that level.
Yeah.
I think he could do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris, you were at Monu last night. Dylan Curtis asks, do you think the grass was cut correctly?
I don't know. I was too far away. I've seen that video by the rap and stuff. And listen, I respect every person that was sat on that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and I respect their opinions. I don't know is the honest answer to that question. Yeah. Because I've never been to Molyneux before, and I don't know the normal length of the grass.
Yeah, no, I don't even know the length of my own grass.
Mitch, fucking long, Paul.
Yeah. I don't know, my wife cuts our grass, be asked. Mitch, MJB 1995. Would you rather do all your shit for the year over a 24-hour period, including all consistency, etc.,
my word,
or retain your normal routine? Discuss.
Okay. It was a bit of a struggle for me.
Sounds like it would be.
So I like efficiencies in life, shall we say.
Okay.
So to be able to just write off 24 hours and get that shit done, literally, I like the idea of that. But now that I'm a dad, those little bits of quiet time that you get every day, you know.
But you'd be able to go and do them without the annoyance. I
wouldn't tell anyone. you just flush the chain, throw a bit of toilet paper down there just to cover your tracks.
Okay.
Maybe have a little...
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds
Yeah,
like
I'm doing that then, Paul.
Sounds like you're kind of doing that already. Yeah, I don't get me wrong, but imagine, because you basically have to be locked away for 24 hours. When does that ever happen?
That's cool.
Yeah, the only thing
My
is
own
that
little
having
poo
had...
dungeon.
Having had,
By the way,
yeah,
Paul.
with the window open.
Could
very
you imagine
open.
me like that Weatherspoons thing?
I wouldn't like...
Do you remember the piss dungeon in Weatherspoons?
I wouldn't want to be in... I mean, not from... by the way, that's not like I've ever... Yeah, no, that's...
No, that's something that we read. We weren't a part of.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to be in either of the toilets in your house for this, by the way.
Oh, no.
No, I'd need warmth and
I'd probably just book a hotel room, to be honest with you. 2 nights in a hotel.
5-star.
My toilet's tiny. I'll just spend 24 hours in
I
there.
couldn't stretch me legs out.
My Mars under the stairs, like fucking like that for 24 hours or something.
Sorry,
I'm booking a hotel
his
room.
mum's not under the stairs.
No,
he's saying
God, she's not. She's not Harry Potter.
His mother's house under the stairs.
Yeah, they have a toilet.
Under the stairs. Yeah, so there you go. That's the answer to that. Let us know your answer to that in the comments. We have got the subscriber Q&A coming up following directly on for this. We'll answer more of your questions, including why does pizza come in a square box? If we were going on a lads holiday, who were the 6 Liverpool players we choose to go with you? What roles will they play and why? Best and worst football pundits and commentators. Who would we have dinner with from any player in history of football? Talk about the FA Cup and injuries and transfers, potentially whether we need to upgrade on anything. Talking about centre backs, because everyone wants to talk about that. Best and worst away grounds and most interesting person we've met through Redmen TV. Get over to redmentv.com, sign up, get involved. We shall see you there. Thank you very much. Walk on.